Hey guys, tonight we wander up the slopes of Mount Parnassus, where the ancient past lingers in the whispers of the wind. Imagine the quiet majesty of this mountain, its peaks stretching into the sky above Delphi. Long ago, mysterious vapors would rise from fissures in the earth, weaving stories of gods and prophecy. The ancients believed this was Apollo himself, breathing divine inspiration into the oracles who sought his wisdom here. Don't get too comfortable. Just yet, you probably won't survive this mythic adventure without a chill or at least a moment of awe. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to post your location and local time in the comments. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As the soft twilight envelops the landscape, you find yourself on the sun-dappled path ascending Mount Parnassus. Each step is cushioned by ancient fragrant pine needles beneath your feet. The mountain is silent now, but if you listen closely, you might hear echoes of an era when this place thrummed with divine mystery. Once upon a time, pilgrims flocked to these heights, seeking the favor and foresight of Apollo, god of light music and prophecy. The epicenter of their pilgrimage was the Oracle of Delphi. In the depths of a once active temple, housed in a sparkling grove, lived the Pythia, the priestess who channeled Apollo's messages. Imagine her seated over a sacred chasm, her words shaped by the enigmatic vapors rising from the earth. It's said, though historians still debate whether this is mere legend, that the intoxicating gases granted her the power to deliver cryptic prophecies in Apollo's tongue. A breeze brushes your cheek, as if nudging you forward, urging you to discover the secrets buried in the mountain's shadow. Who would have thought that behind those prophecies might lie the simple truth of ethylene gas compounding the mystery with a hint of science? Just to the north, where lush forest fades into rock goats, once stumbled upon this sacred site. According to tales, it was these goats that first encountered the vapors and danced about, madly revealing the spot as touched by divine presence. This led shepherds, and then more learned visitors, to the same revelation. The mountain was a gateway to the gods. The history of these rituals is deeply entrenched in tradition, with too many conflicting stories to fit any single narrative. Some even say the oracle's influence stretched beyond Delphi, affecting decisions of kings and battles across ancient Greece. Satraps and sovereigns alike sought the oracle's enigmatic counsel, which often floated in through cryptic riddles open to interpretation. Feel the cool air as it drifts down from the summit. You pause for a moment, glancing back towards the distant plains cut by ancient roads leading back to civilization, a reminder of just how isolated yet central Mount Parnassus stood in the world of the Greeks. These pathways once transported messages to and from Delphi, messages that carried the weight of celestial counsel delivered by the spiritual link binding earth and divine. The hues deepen, and as the night unfolds its velvet cloak over the mountain, you are left with a sense of profound connection to the ancients. Their faith in divine whispers and celestial guidance is as palpable as the soft rolling breeze that sweeps over you. Each stone and shrub seems to breathe with an echo of Apollo's breath. Historians might still puzzle over the exact nature of those holy vapors, but one truth remains. Mount Parnassus was and still is a symbol of mystery and inspiration. This sacred earth beneath your feet holds millennia of stories whispered into being by gods and believed by men and women who sought answers to shape their fates. In the tranquility of this night beneath the starlit sky, you feel a quiet awe settle within you, a serene wonder kindled by the myths that flow forever through this place. Amidst the myths and mists, isn't it fascinating to ponder how much our present perceptions are rooted in the mysterious wonders of the past? As you step carefully along this sacred ground, each step guides you further along the path into the broadening tale that awaits. With a sense of anticipation, you continue your exploration of this timeless landscape, where history, myth, and nature entwine like the fragrant laurel and robust olives thriving on its slopes. Apollo didn't shout, he whispered. Through a woman seated on a sacred tripod above steam and laurel leaves in the Temple of Delphi. You find yourself there amidst the ancient Greeks who ventured to seek his wisdom. Each breath swirls with anticipation, and you can't help but wonder how many destinies were shaped by this gentle exchange between the divine and humanity. Steam rises slowly in delicate tendrils enveloping you in warmth. The Pythia, the oracle priestess, sits poised, her eyes glazed as if gazing beyond the horizon of time itself. Her words will not be plain, of course. Gods rarely do speak plainly. They prefer the language of metaphor riddles that dance on the edge of your understanding, perhaps, to keep you humble or maybe just to amuse themselves. It's said that Apollo favored ambiguity in his oracular messages, and historians still debate whether his obliqueness was intentional or simply a byproduct of the Pythia inhaling those intoxicating vapors. You observe her closely, trying to catch any flicker of a smile that might betray amusement at humanity's convoluted interpretations. An array of supplicants surrounds you. Some are warriors seeking to decipher their fortunes in upcoming battles. Others are nervous statesmen pondering the fate of their city-states. Then there are those here for more personal reasons. Perhaps a farmer wondering about the next harvest, or a young woman curious about her romantic future. Despite the diversity, all share the common thread of seeking certainty in an uncertain world. As you wait, the whispering intensifies. It's the soft hum of prayers, wishes, and confessions mingling with the mysterious breeze that sweeps through the temple's stone columns. The rustle of the laurel leaves above tickles your imagination, as if the god himself were shifting them, gently planting secret notions in your mind. One unusual thing catches your attention: the laurel leaves. You might expect them to symbolize victory, peace, or even poetic inspiration, typical Apollo themes. Yet you learn they were also chewed by the Pythia, possibly contributing to her trance-like state. The ancients believed in their power quite literally, just like they believed in the powers of Zeus's thunderbolts or Poseidon's tridents. Historical records suggest that not all inquiries resulted in satisfying answers. You can imagine the disappointment mingled with awe when an oracle's words are as clear and elusive as morning mist. The ambiguity, however, granted a peculiar kind of freedom. One could interpret the oracle's words to suit hopes as much as fears. A release of tension slips in as this thought settles like a new perspective taking root in your mind. Here's a fact that surprises you. The oracle's responses weren't transcribed verbatim. Consulting these cryptic whispers meant engaging in an art of interpretation almost as revered and challenging as the revelation itself. Delphic priests would listen, comprehend the whispers, and offer them to the inquirers. It was a chain of communication, one part divine, one part human, each link crucial in unraveling destiny. As the session unfolds, you imagine how this scene played out through centuries. People might have traveled from distant lands for guidance, and you find it mesmerizing how a woman's whispers could carry enough weight to influence empires and kingdoms. It's a comforting thought, too, as if whispers like hers still reverberate today, their echoes instructing us to listen closely to the subtleties in life. Steam clings to the air, growing thicker, and you're reminded that belief is grounded not just in certainty, but in trust. Trust in the unseen forces guiding you, the same forces the Greeks entrusted with their hopes and ambitions whispered through riddles, awaiting untangling by those brave enough to ask. Though you find the origins of the oracle a mystery much like the depth of a whispered breeze, you also notice a gentle warning in these tender revelations. Divine foresight, after all, is as much about caution as it is enlightenment. Each response, unpredictable and elusive, serves as a reminder of the unpredictable dance with destiny that everyone even now continues to engage in. Realizing this, you begin to sense the power inside each subtle whisper, a guide meant to stir introspection rather than dictate outcomes. The story of Apollo's oracle reaches across the ages, not just as a testament to human curiosity and divine comedy, but as timeless proof that sometimes whispers hold more strength than the loudest proclamations. To become the oracle, you find yourself drawn into a world of simplicity and timeless rituals, guided by an ancient path laid out for those who dare to seek wisdom from the gods. You wake to the gentle babble of the Castalian springs, its waters whispering secrets untold to those who listen. Imagine dipping your toes into the crisp, cool water, the chill sending a pleasant shiver up your spine. Here at the foot of Mount Parnassus, you understand why the ancients believed in the spring's cleansing power. There's a sacredness to its purity. You know that your journey requires not just the purification of body, but also of spirit. You're tasked to live simply shedding the complexities of daily life, like leaves falling from a tree. Your existence becomes one of quiet dedication, focused solely on your preparation to become the voice of Apollo. There's an odd freedom in this simplicity, a feeling that modern minds might find as alien as it is tranquil. Next, you must chew bay leaves, pondering how this simple act, often accompanied by the herb's pungent taste lingering on your tongue, connects you with those who came before. It said the bay leaves channel Apollo's breath into your own, though whether this is a metaphor or something more tangible is still debated by scholars. With your breath steady and deep disciplined, like the tides that repeatedly kiss the shore, you move toward your next trial. Breathing in deeply, the earthy sense of the setting grounding you to the task at hand, you prepare your mind to embrace the unknown. Now the moment comes to sit above the chasm, a fissure in the earth that seems to exhale mysteries and prophecies. You place yourself carefully, the rock, ancient and worn smooth by countless visions offered to pondering petitioners. As you settle, the anticipation thrums in your veins. A gentle haze surrounds you, a reminder from history that in this space many claim the gases rising from the chasm may have held secrets as elusive as dreams. As you wait, a profound stillness envelops you, like the world holding its breath. Historians still debate whether it was the sacred vapors that transported you to another realm, or if it was simply a powerful testament to belief. Either way, in this timeless tradition, you sense a deeper connection with those who sought wisdom from this very spot. The whispers of ages fill your ears, blending with the gentle rustle of olive leaves. Even here, in the heart of waiting, where stillness is as healing as any balm, you are aware of your dual existence. Part of you lingers in the physical world, the warmth of the sun against your skin, and the distant coo of doves serving as reminders. Another part, though, dissolves into an invisible space where the mind stretches beyond earthly confines. As you perch on the precipice of prophecy, you remember the stories, those of warnings and fortunes spoken in riddles. It is your voice now that will carry this ancient torch, a solemn duty passed down through the tendrils of time. Here in this convergence of what is seen and what is felt, you become both messenger and guardian of eldritch truth. Gently the world whispers around you. You might wonder if it's the wind or something older, like the spirits of the grove themselves, sipping at the stories you prepare to share. These moments of mindfulness harbor their own revelations, whispers that perhaps come not from the chasm alone, but from the far corners of your consciousness, gently cueing you to a time before written word, where the oral tradition was paramount, and the oracle's wisdom was a beacon in a shadowed world. Your mind dances between this knowledge and the soft cradle of the present, a lullaby held by the temple's hushed tones. This is a place where time uncurls and breathes, offering the weary soul a chance to learn from the past with eyes turned toward the horizon. Here as the oracle you embrace both the silence and the symphony of existence, an equilibrium maintained through reverent ritual and the whispers of forgotten ages. Awaiting your first seeker, you reflect on those who dwelled here before you, each leaving a mark, not on the stones, but on the stream of history itself. Their stories linger, echoing through the vaults of time, their voices neither loud nor silent, but a beautiful chord harmonizing with the sacred ambiance. And so you, dear listener, an ordained oracle, become part of this grand and gentle tapestry, woven with threads of destiny and divine intrigue, quietly observing the dance of life from your sacred seat above the chasm. as darkness descends gently upon the land, sprinkled with the light of 1,000 stars. You remain a steward of the present and future. Intertwined your heart and mind, opened to the whispers of eternity. You find your way to Delphi, the heart of ancient prophecies. Picture yourself walking through the temple of Apollo, feeling the stones under your feet. These aren't just any stones. They've been tread upon by countless pilgrims, priests, and sages for centuries. Even now, you can almost sense their whispers carried by the gentle breeze. The air here is alive, charged with the anticipation of the unknown. It's a place where people journeyed from far and wide, seeking answers from the divine. Maybe you're looking for guidance too, a path illuminated by the enigmatic oracle. You can sense history's weight on your shoulders, like opening a book filled with untold secrets and stories from another time. Delphi, nestled in the cradle of Greece, isn't merely a site of ruins. It vibrates with life. To many, it felt like the world's navel, a sacred meeting point for the earth's energies. Among the laughter of priests and soft murmur of pilgrims, there's another sound to notice, a gentle hum you realize comes from bees darting among the flowers. These bees aren't just buzzing for nectar. Their presence here amidst ancient rituals adds a mysterious layer to the story of Delphi. It might surprise you, but some ancient legends suggest that these bees were more than just busy insects. They say the bees whispered secrets to the oracle herself, helping her channel divine prophecies. Imagine that a world where bees communicate secrets of the future. Historians still debate whether this was a poetic myth or a belief genuinely held by the ancients. But it's delightful to think that the same creatures, buzzing quietly, could be tied to humanity's quest for answers. As you wander closer into the temple complex, imagine the priestess of Delphi, known as the Pythia, seated on her tripod, shrouded in mysterious vapors from a deep fissure in the earth. The steam rose intertwining with the floral scents, carried by the bees, filling the air with a potent mix of wonder and divine inspiration. It said the oracle's words were elusive, cryptic, and often required an adept priest to interpret them accurately. Sometimes they'd end up as riddles, open to interpretation, which makes you wonder, did they want the truth? Or just the thrill of the ambiguous chase, peering around the colors of Delphi come alive? The vivid hues of the priest's robes, the subtle browns of stone ruins, and the glistening colors of the bees as they dance among the flowers. Each element feels like a piece of a broader tapestry, weaving the normal with the divine. A realm where humanity reaches out to touch the ancient gods. The thought crosses your mind. What prompted these countless souls to travel such vast distances to this secluded mountain sanctuary? In those days, such a journey wasn't for the faint-hearted. Yet here they came seeking guidance. And you too become a pilgrim of sorts, navigating this landscape where nature and history embrace. As the sun begins to dip towards the horizon, casting long shadows against the temple's stone, you slowly become part of this ancient world. You nod to the possibilities the bees and Pythia might have held. That knowledge isn't just in books or scrolls, but dances around us, floating through the air, waiting to be seen or heard in the least expected places, possibly from a bee or two. Historians continue to pore over these stories, sometimes agreeing, often debating the truth of these ancient tales. But for you standing here, it's not about whether bees really played a part or if the oracle ever had divine gifts. It's the magic of believing that perhaps nature speaks in a voice so soft, yet so profound, that only the truly open-hearted can understand it. The evening encroaches, and the world of Delphi begins to relax the hustle of the day's revelations, settling into silence as stars prick the darkening sky. The bees have retired to their hives, a reminder that sometimes magic lingers quietly and unnoticed in the corners, waiting for you to pay just enough attention. And so, as you find a comfortable spot amongst these ancient stones, you feel the soft embrace of history wrapping around you like a cozy blanket. The curious dance between man and nature sings you to a place of reflection where you ponder the delicate threads that connect the past with the present and a simple bee with the divine. You let the wonders of today, the whispers of ancient myths, and the gentle buzz of those bees guide you to rest, knowing that no matter how much we think we understand, there are always secrets left to be discovered. Perhaps just like the pilgrims before you, you've caught a piece of the eternal mystery that is Delphi. When you lean forward to hear the words of the Pythia, the air feels electric, like the moment just before a storm breaks. Her voice drifts from her seated oracle, a whisper in the wind that threads through the stone of Apollo's temple. Ancient Greece lives and breathes around you. Each word she murmurs is weightless, yet somehow it holds destinies balanced on the precipice. You're here amidst the marble columns, where kings have stood waiting for answers. Yet when the Pythia speaks, it isn't with the grandeur or clarity you might expect. Her words roll out softly, a tangled braid of wisdom and mystery. Historians still debate whether her trance was induced by natural gases seeping from the earth, or simply the slow rhythm of ancient ritual. Either way, those halting syllables she utters are enough to shape the rise and fall of empires. Decisions made from these cryptic messages ripple across the lands, altering courses and changing fates. Imagine standing there, the purifying scent of laurel burning in the background. Hesitation hangs in the air like a question mark. The Pythia sways slightly, her eyes glossed over, displaying a vision unseen to the mortal eye. People say she speaks in tongues not meant for waking minds, a poetic nonsense that demands interpretation. Yet somehow, those in power, that king or that warrior, walk away with clarity. Their hearts pull truths from her fractured speech, weaving strategy from tapestry thin as dreams. You smell the perfumed offerings that fill the temple, a heady mix of ancient incense and fresh flowers. Every part of this space is designed to evoke the divine. The carved figures of deities on the walls, watching silently the solemn stillness that urges you quietly to keep breathing steady as the words unfold. Hearing the fragments, you perhaps understand more than the naked words suggest. Just like the evasive art of reading signs, you feel the messages in your bones, guided by intuition and a bit of guesswork. Not unlike deciphering an odd text message from a friend, or interpreting a pet's unusual behavior. Is it truth prophecy, or simply the Pythia's tired musings spun in divine dress? No one has ever truly solved the riddle of her visions, nor the sources of their power. But one thing is certain: the fear and respect she commanded were real enough to change a kingdom's course. Like the time when the promise of power stopped Alexander the Great, sending him instead toward the heart of Persia, altering history as we know it. The whispers continue as you sink into this atmosphere, a cacophony of half-formed sounds, like water droplets echoing in a cavern. The Pythia's role has always been a curious mix of power and fragility. She is chosen, after all, from local maidens, only to serve the gods with a duty that demands soul, spirit, and sometimes sanity itself. Somewhere in the uncertainty of her message lies the truth, much like the delicate balance one senses when walking a tightrope. It's as if understanding, too, must maintain its balance. In this dim glow of the temple, you grasp the sensation of stepping out of time. While outside this sanctuary, the world changes incessantly, with territories expanding and crumbling under the same moon. But here, it is eternal. The moment feels suspended, as if the oracle's voice is casting a spell over everything. You can feel the breath of history pass over you, tingling along the edges of your consciousness. The old stones in the temple bear witness to countless seekers before you, each clutching their hopes tightly as they approach the Pythia, leaving either with dread or resolve, never in between. And so, here you stand, caught between the tidbits of future and fate yourself, part of a cycle as ancient as the temple. As you listen to the Pythia's murmurings, you acknowledge one profound truth. Sometimes, it's not the clarity of the words, but their mystery that guides us. The unsure nature of her speech beckons reflection, allowing leaders to confront their own hearts. The wisest counsel, perhaps, isn't only in what is said, but also in what is not. You understand now that real prophecy lies less in prediction and more in its influence. The choices you make under its shadow are yours alone. In such moments, histories are born. The murmur becomes a shout within each listener's mind, transforming potential into action. Together, you share a pause with the others awaiting their answers from the ethereal abyss, allowing you to drift gently into tomorrow's worries and ambitions, knowing that sometimes even the quietest voice can echo through eternity. The room is dim, and you find yourself in the quiet space between wakefulness and sleep. The soft glow of a candle flickers gently, casting dancing shadows across the walls. In this serene setting, you can almost feel the whispers of time drawing you in. Not too far from where you're nestled, you hear the murmured sounds that fill the air, sounds of a language ancient and mysterious, spoken by voices laden with both reverence and doubt. It's the language of the priests who gather nightly, quills in hand. They hang on every word, every syllable, eager to catch her murmurs. You realize that these priests are not just scribes. They are artists in their own right. When she speaks, her words trickle out like water, and yet the priests manage to craft from them entire rivers of tales and teachings. Sometimes they come to you twisted, having lost their original shape, as myths and truths interweave, creating a tapestry that you can't quite unravel. The power of words feels palpable, and there's an intoxicating allure to it. You sense how easily her intentions, her musings once simple and undecorated, transform at the hands of the priests. Some phrases get refined, translated into languages that don't quite align. Others are gently nudged into rhyme as if lyrics of a song. They are shaping her mumbles into something larger, more meaningful. Here lies a fact echoing in your mind. This process, this transcribing of ideas, has deep roots in history. The priests of many cultures have acted as gatekeepers of knowledge and interpretation. You remember being told about the Celtic Druids, who in their time took part in an oral tradition that stretched centuries before. Finally, much of it would be recorded and shaped into what history would eventually recognize as their lore. Yet you also pick up on something surprising amid these sounds. The more you listen, the more you realize there's a rhythm, a curious dance between what is said and what is recorded. You note a melody infused in their words. These priests are not just recording, they are creating. A whispered confession or stray remark might suddenly take on the air of a grand proclamation once penned. It occurs to you that what you witness now is akin to the telephone game. The message ever so slightly changes with each one who hears it. Historians still debate whether the interpretations of these priests accurately reflected the original intent of the speakers. Was it deliberate artistry meant to elevate mundane speech to divine status, or was it simply what happens when words fold under the weight of time and human intention? Even now, as you ponder this, the truth feels just out of reach, like catching vapor. Yet amidst this uncertainty, there is a familiarity that brings you comfort. The process is not too different from our own ways of preserving memories, carefully selected, perhaps exaggerated, and certainly colored by sentiment. You've probably spun your own tales, blending fact with feeling. It's all a gentle reminder that human nature is much the same now as it was then. As these ideas float around your mind, the sounds of the priests' voices begin to fade, their task completed for the night. The room seems a little dimmer now, inviting you to rest. The gentle ticking of time slows, matched by the rhythmic lapping of waves against the shore of consciousness, drawing you further into that peaceful place where dreams weave seamlessly with reality. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself transported to ancient Lydia, where the clever and cunning Croesus rules. Renowned for his immense wealth, Croesus is intrigued by what the oracle at Delphi has told him. Cross the river and a great empire will fall. It's a statement filled with stark, yet tantalizing ambiguity. You stand in Croesus's sandals and feel the weight of such a prophecy. Now Croesus is no fool. You've watched him gather his advisors, each whispering theories about what this cryptic message might truly mean. Some suggest the empire could be the mighty Persian realm, threatening from the east, led by Cyrus the Great, a name that already echoes with ambition and valor. You even hear talk from a bold advisor that maybe, just maybe, it is Lydia itself that is at risk. You can't help but chuckle softly, just as Croesus probably did, dismissing it as the fear-driven ramblings of a cautionary mind. Historians still debate exactly what the oracle's true intention might have been. Some say the Pythia, the oracle's voice, was known for being intentionally vague, hedging her bets, so to speak. After all, when oracles speak, they leave room for interpretation, turning foresight into a puzzle. It's the kind of divine wordplay that feels more like a political maneuver than a mystical glimpse into the future. And yet here you stand by the river's edge, the wind rustling through the reeds, confronting an ancient choice. What Croesus sees as a strategic moment, one to expand his influence, feels to you like a double-edged sword. And that's because you've sensed the tension in the air, much like it was before the Lydians and Medes laid down arms after a solar eclipse. Nature itself played the soothsayer, then prompting peace through sheer astonishment at its own cosmic display. As the story unfolds, you travel back and forth in time and space, your surroundings shifting like the sands of Giza, sands once examined closely by subsequent curious kings, searching for signs of divine backing. This tale is not just about one king's fortune or folly, but about the very human quest to seek signs and cling to certainties in an uncertain world. A cold shiver runs down your spine despite the dappled sunlight that falls warmly on your shoulders. Each step into the river seems to echo with the promise of destiny, destiny tinged with the irony that historians with their books will later understand, yet leave unresolved. An unusual note reaches your ears, the song of a bird, one that folklore insists nests only on the riverbanks where great decisions are made. Crossing the river seems a simple act, yet fraught with symbolism. It is here that lay the crossroads between ambitions and their harsh realities. The advisor's murmurs soften behind you. The water's rhythmical movement feels like the gentle rocking that is both soothing and a warning, a reminder of those who had tread this path before with similar ambitions. What follows, as you already sense, is not just a matter of empires and conquests, but a dance of fate. And so, even as Croesus looks towards his enemy's lands with the vision of victory, you standing at this precarious juncture feel the pulse of history and the echo of so many who misunderstood their own oracles. You breathe the air more deeply, looking across to where the future lies hidden. The river's flow, slow yet constant, mirrors the flow of time, a reminder that whatever might fall or rise, it moves inexorably forward. You wonder what other rulers stood on the brink of such rivers, with promises whispered by unseen forces. Which empires rose, which fell, things they foresaw, and those forever hidden in mist. With each ripple, you're carried further into the tapestry of this ancient drama. And just up ahead, more bends of the river where choices like this were made, defining the architects of their own stories. Yet you refocus. The journey across the river is only the beginning, a mere beginning to the tale that extends beyond touching times, lands and legends yet to unfold. Reminded of the oracle's sometimes mischievous wisdom and the sweeping nature of history, you prepare yourself to wade further into the unfolding saga, knowing that somewhere amidst the shadows cast by these monumental figures, truths and riddles intertwine, plucking chords on the lyre of time. As the river wraps around your ankles, You pause, casting one more glance back towards the lands you've left. There's a moment of stillness, a breath held in mutual anticipation. Yet onward you tread into the water's embrace, knowing full well that the tale doesn't end here. It merely transitions like the gentlest notes, easing into a new melody. A tale that meanders like the rivers of yore into the heart of ancient conflicts, exhilarating in their uncertainty. The plunge into its depths, like a plunge into memory or legend, hints at more tales, hidden in the folds of ancient scrolls and whispered legends. Whatever lies on the further shore, it's not heavy but comforting, a relinquishing of the known for the yet to be discovered, a promise whispered not just by an oracle, but by history's ever-flowing river itself. Modern scientists have uncovered intriguing evidence about the mysteries that lay beneath the ancient temple, where delicate currents of ethylene gas once gently wafted upwards, tickling the noses of oracles and priests with its sweet, intoxicating scent. As you imagine descending into the half-lit chambers of this ancient site, the cool stone walls seem to breathe with you, and the path underfoot is riddled with stories, yet unwritten whispers lost to time. In these sacred spaces, the oracles of old might have sat inhaling the invisible essence that dreamlike whispered secrets only they could hear. No divine power here, perhaps just chemistry, doing its mesmerizing dance. As you envision inhaling the fragrant air, you chuckle softly, perhaps wondering if these oracles entranced by the gas gave counsel that was less divinely inspired and more akin to the wild imaginings invoked by a thoroughly modern hallucinogen. Historians still debate whether the presence of this gas was a deliberate part of the ritual, a divine gift, or simply a happy accident of geology, a capricious quirk of the earth beneath. But what we do know is that ethylene at certain concentrations can induce a trance-like state, filled with vivid imagery and a sense of euphoria, a mind-opening key slipping seamlessly between mundane reality and the ethereal realm. The legends tell of astonishing prophecies revealed in this state. You might imagine the oracle, her eyes half-lidded and serene, as she glimpsed truths that swirled like smoke just out of reach. Your mind drifts back to the day when you learned about the sacred pasture, kept nearby a place where priestesses and priests cultivated potent herbs and gathered for prayer. The temple was alive, buzzing with energy, a place where people sought wisdom and clarity in a world full of uncertainty. Then there's that curious historical tidbit. It was not uncommon for the high priests to misspeak, mixing details or issuing prophecies that seemed almost too absurd. Histories are dotted with tales of oracles who foresaw victories but failed to specify whether they were for friend or foe. Was this an intentional sleight of divine hand, or perhaps a side effect of spending too much time breathing in the sweet fumes? In your imagination, the temple courtyard extends before you, sun-dappled and serene with olive trees, casting flickering shadows across ancient stones. The air here, untouched by the ethylene below, carries the mingled scents of blooming jasmine and the salted breeze from the distant sea. Here the faithful waited, eager for the smallest crumbs of insight. You feel an echo of their anticipation in your own chest, a yearning to know what lay beyond what the future might weave. You're reminded of how the ancient Greeks cherished Delphi and its Pythian games, held every 4 years, as their way of honoring Apollo. Athletes ran through and competed under the same sun that warmed the temple stones, celebrating their gods in an entirely different way than those within the temple's script-laden confines. The soft irony is not lost that what was thought to be divine intervention or otherworldly communication may have been nothing more than a geological coincidence. Yet the mind is a powerful co-creator of reality belief itself, a potent force that can turn the ordinary extraordinary. So as you move through these thoughts, you wonder if perhaps the oracle's wisdom came from a place not easily defined by modern science, a place where chemistry and faith intertwined. Just as you've settled into this idea, consider the breathtaking discovery made by recent explorers, a trapdoor hidden beneath ceremonial rugs, leading to a network of underground passages. There was speculation about what purpose these tunnels served, transporting goods or perhaps a secret escape route in times of danger. Ancient civilizations were adept at veiling mysteries in plain view just beneath your feet. As the quiet night wraps around you, there's comfort in remembering that despite the passage of centuries, the human strives for understanding and connection remains unchanged. You reach out to those you know, sharing tidbits of trivia and wonderment, just like old storytellers around a flickering campfire. The midnight cloak weighs lightly filled with shadows of ancient rites and the soft murmured promises that tomorrow holds. Meanwhile, you settle into the deeper mysteries of sleep where reality and dream weave their own tapestry, just as the ancients did in temples, long hidden from view. The tale now concludes, your thoughts floating between the realms of consciousness like ethereal wisps. The rhythm of your breath matches the steady beating drum of history, each heartbeat echoing the oracle's ancient wisdom, endlessly inquisitive, endlessly human. The night stretches before you, vast and peaceful, offering safe passage to where your dreams may wander. And so, you allow yourself to drift softly into the embrace of slumber, carrying with you the echoes of secrets whispered long ago beneath starlit skies. Pythia stands in the hush of the chamber, the laurel branches resting lightly within her grasp. You feel the coolness of the stone underfoot, and the gentle flicker of candles casts dancing shadows upon the temple walls, creating shapes that seem to whisper forgotten words. Pythia's robes gleam pristine white, a stark contrast against the dim environment, as if illuminated by Apollo's light itself. There's something daunting yet serene about her presence, as if she embodies both the mystery and majesty of the oracle's sacred duty. As her voice starts to float through the temple, you notice how it echoes in a way that sends gentle shivers down your spine. It bounces in harmonious discord, distorting and mingling with the silence to create an ethereal song that cannot easily be forgotten. Her words, sometimes clear, and other times a riddle of sound, guide those who listen closer to the heart of Delphic wisdom. Historians still debate whether her messages came from the divine or from a mind cleverly attuned to the concerns of those who sought her advice. You can imagine the anticipation of the patrons awaiting their turn to hear fate's whispers. As Pythia's voice reaches out, you sense how desperately they'd try to piece together what might be prophecy and what might be plain logic tangled with hope. Just as the branches she holds are a symbol of Apollo's guidance, her cryptic messages are a bridge to understanding their paths, whether foretold by gods or shaped by cunning. It's said that the laurel branches signify purification, a bridge between the chaos of life and the clarity offered by divine insight. Yet isn't it curious that instead of being a straightforward guide, her voice instead warps and weaves around the stone, encouraging listeners to lean in just a bit closer, perhaps like the soft hum of a story you've heard once and can't quite recall. Her intention is to tune your senses so finely that you grasp the truth, not merely from words, but the spaces between them. As you step deeper into this realm of ancient wonder, allow your thoughts to dance along with the shadows. Imagine what secrets linger in the cracks of history, hidden in obscure phrases you might hear and later recall in moments of reflection, when the night's silence resembles the temple's. After all, Pythia did not just impart knowledge. She opened the door to questions, to the infinite possibilities of futures, yet untold, much like your own journey tonight, tracing paths where echoes lead you forward into dreams. People came from Egypt, Persia, and Athens. You step into the ancient world as if through a veil of whispers, where travelers from distant lands converge at a single point, sharing one desire. Imagine the vibrant marketplaces of Alexandria, or the austere walls of Persepolis, left behind as they ventured forth, some journeying for days or even weeks to bring themselves to this peculiar place of questions and answers. You find yourself amidst a gathering of people who have journeyed from different corners of the known world. Their clothes drape in styles unfamiliar, and their voices mingle in a low hum, embodying a babble of languages: Egyptian, Persian, Greek. Each person is drawn by a similar thread, an unseen string of curiosity that has pulled them into this shared space. They have all come to see one singular figure, the source of their inquiries, and the potential wellspring of great wisdom. You too feel this pull, a curiosity that swells like an ocean tide urging you forward. You may not know exactly what answer you seek, but you know that the question is ready to take shape upon your lips. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation. There is a hallowed stillness just before a question is uttered, a moment when the air feels dense with unsaid words and collective expectation. The crowd around you falls into respectful silence, much like people might do today, when something momentous is about to occur on stage, just before the spotlight illuminates the speaker. And yet, once the questions tumble out in this sacred space, held together by silence, the responses are not what you'd expect. There aren't grandiose declarations or monumental revelations. Instead, the answers come as soft, steady murmurings, a mumble that forces each listener to lean in closely, almost as if those receiving the words are seeking to catch a delicate butterfly before it flutters away. Ironically, you realize that this strange, humble format is precisely what draws people in these visitors, from the mighty Egypt where pharaohs reign from Persia, where kings command endless armies, and from Athens, the cradle of philosophers and orators. They all come to experience the odd ritual of patience and whispers here. For a moment, your mind drifts to consider why these quieter voices would wield such power here. It's rumored that one of the visitors might even bring a question so profound that it could change the course of history, or maybe that's just local exaggeration, a playful stretch of the imagination, like tales of heroic feats that never quite happened. Still, if history's storytellers can be believed, there was once a question that transcended nations. Historians still debate whether it was a pressing political matter or some philosophical labyrinth designed to outwit even the wisest of minds. The uncertainty of history is part of its charm, like an ancient play wherein each scholar writes their own script. And as you listen, you connect with the eternal wonder of humanity, that ongoing quest. We all share our need to understand, to probe the unknown, to find answers, and perhaps to lose ourselves in the mystery of the search itself. Even in an age where knowledge pours forth at a pace that makes your head spin, the simple act of asking the right question remains as powerful today as centuries ago. Some people, they say, have waited here for days for that moment of murmur. The patience is almost more curious than the answers themselves. What makes people hold vigil for days, sitting in silence for perhaps one whispered truth? You consider who were the ones that asked the most unusual questions, the ones that brought everyone to the edge of their seats. Was it an Egyptian priest seeking wisdom to guide the stars? A Persian envoy with questions wrapped in the silk of political intrigue? An Athenian thinker craving a deeper thread in the tapestry of thought? Each of these visitors, and perhaps yourself, plays a role in this mosaic of inquiries. Everyone brings a piece of their world, a fragment of their culture, into the fold of silence, waiting for their turn to break it with a question whose answer might be spoken in the softest of tones. As you stand among this assembly, you are reminded that sometimes the most profound revelations come not from loud proclamations, but from those quiet moments of clarity, shared in the language of whispers and patience, where answers form, not like mountain peaks, but like rivers smoothing stones over time. This meeting of the minds where the conversations are hushed, yet profoundly impactful, mirrors the gentle art of questioning. Just like the goat fat trick you heard about earlier, it brings the spark of life and an unexpected angle to what might have been ordinary. Tonight you have become part of this long-standing tradition, one of seeking, asking, and listening. Here, amidst the air that feels almost electric with possibility, you realize that to truly comprehend the mumble is to listen with more than just your ears. It's to engage with a shared history that transcends barriers, drawing people together over the vast expanses of time and space, reminding you of your connection to a broader humanity and an unending quest for wisdom. Your eyes open to the ethereal glow of the Oracle of Delphi, seated on her tripod, veiled in intoxicating incense. You ask cautiously, because every question must be perfectly phrased. Will I win this war? The air is thick with anticipation and odd fumes that carry the weight of prophecy. In this sacred place, even the most confident warrior must feel a tinge of uncertainty, for historians still debate whether the oracle's answers were straight from the divine or just inspired by euphoric vapors rising from a chasm in the earth. The oracle's cryptic response unfurls like a serpent, winding through the mind, offering possibilities without promises. It's exhilarating and daunting all at once, just like that feeling you get when you realize you left the stove on, only in this case, the fate of your nation hangs in the balance. Greece, with its polytheistic beliefs and zealous reverence for the gods, considered oracular guidance crucial. It was believed the celestial bodies, stars, burning with ancient wisdom, dictated the fate of empires and the lives of mere mortals. The positioning of the stars this particular night insists that tonight is no ordinary quest. It's tethered to the powerful whims of fate. Down in Rome, another fascinating play unfolds, where seers read fortunes in the weathered entrails of sacrificial animals. You might squirm at the thought, but the Romans found patterns where others only saw the mundane. You wonder, as you idly trace the pattern of the bricks below you, whether historians today can ever truly map the minds of those who hung on every word from the soothsayers. With a soft step, you drift towards an ancient marketplace in Egypt. The sun bakes the ground beneath, and the tantalizing scent of spices fills the air. Should I marry her? One might ask a passing mystic, clutching his heart full of emotion. The mystic pauses, considering celestial charts, and perhaps the position of Venus. Here, love and agriculture share a cosmic bond, like choosing the right moment to plant barley, a decision steeped as much in astrology as in agriculture. The success of crops could hinge on the whim of the Nile or an eclipse foreseen by priests in white linen robes. In ancient China, diviners used oracle bones, and as you imagine running your hands over the etched lines, you can't help but think about the randomness of life's big decisions and the peculiar fact that shoulders of turtle shells once held the weight of these answers. These bones, once read with painstaking precision, carry the echoes of a civilization's uncertainties, now just whispers in the vast chronicle of time. The warmth of the evening wraps around you, and you wonder about a time when such decisions as small as when to plant could determine life's sustenance. Have you ever really thought about how vital those decisions truly were? Plant early and risk frost? Plant late and miss the rains? Historians suspect that such judgments were as much about gauging the seasons as they were interpreting divine will. And so you trek onward through the landscape of these time-worn rituals, sensing the symphony of humanity's shared hopes and fears woven into the tapestry of history. You recognize that while today's methods of seeking wisdom have changed, the essence of human curiosity remains remarkably the same. Whether through oracles, stars, or bird patterns in the sky, our endeavor has always been to make sense of life's tangled paths. Just as you're ready to rest your eyes, you remember, small or large, each decision was monumental. But perhaps, after all these pages in history's great book, the message is simple, yet profound. Trust the journey. Question: deeply and always be open to life's wondrous tapestry. So as you let your mind drift into the soft embrace of sleep, remember the wisdom carried through millennia. Who knows, perhaps your dreams tonight will carry the echoes of ancient questions lingering in the starlit sky. The oracle's temple is a place of silence, save for the whisper of the wind and the gentle rustling of leaves. It's said that the path to the oracle's wisdom is paved with riddles and contradictions, a fact that perhaps adds to the legend. As you take a deep breath and step forward, you recall tales of ancient Greece and the Oracle of Delphi, where those seeking wisdom would journey far and wide, hoping to extract a grain of truth from cryptic messages. Her responses were legendary for being as clear as a misty morning, which makes you wonder if clarity ever was the goal. They say the oracle never offered straightforward guidance. Rather, she provided a mirror reflecting endless possibilities. People throughout history have pondered her riddles, just as you might have heard about the famed King Croesus, who took his armies to war based on her words. Or did he? Historians still debate whether the ambiguous messages were intended as prophecies or mere reflections of one's desires. The ambiguity of the past mirrors the uncertainty of the present. A gentle breeze kisses your cheek as you approach the cavernous entrance carved with age-old symbols. You step into the dim light, the coolness of the stone floor a stark contrast to the warm air outside. Inside, the atmosphere is laden with a scent reminiscent of sage, transporting you to a time when such temples were active centers of wisdom, where seekers like you came with questions burning in their minds. A subtle footfall heralds the presence of the oracle's attendant, who motions for you to sit. Sitting cross-legged on the smooth stone, you listen as tales of ancient wisdom fill the room. Some say the method of seeking oracles hasn't changed in millennia. The tension between question and answer, certainty and doubt remains. It's ironic, you think, how the simple act of inquiry can lead you into deeper labyrinths. You've heard that the ancients believed riddles to be a path to enlightenment, a statement not entirely without merit, considering how complex human history can be. There's the curious tale of the Sphinx who guarded the city of Thebes with a riddle that only Oedipus could solve. That single answer changed his fate and perhaps offered a lesson on the power of insight over brute strength. As you ponder this, you're reminded of a peculiar detail. Did you know the Sphinx might have originally had the head of a ram or a hawk before the Greeks depicted it with a human face? Such shifts in symbolism speak volumes about cultural influences and alterations over time. And still scholars aren't entirely sure whether these changes were intentional acts of adaptation or simply mythological evolution. The attendant speaks again. Prepare yourself for what might be is the only instruction offered before silence envelops you again. You close your eyes, imagining the layers of history that surround you, feeling the presence of those who came before. Underneath the vagueness and shadow of these riddles, there lingers a whisper of hope, or perhaps destiny. Some would argue that the true gift of any oracle wasn't in the clarity of the answer, but the journey one undertook to seek it. As you sit, a story comes to mind of how Alexander the Great once demanded assurance of his destiny. Whether the oracle obliged him with certainty or left him to interpret chance as fate is a matter of historical conjecture. Yet some would suggest it was ambition, not prophecy, that truly drove him. Outside, the world remains filled with possibilities. The oracle never told anyone how their story would unfold, only what might be leaving it to the seekers to carve their story into the stone of history. The riddle lies not in extracting a clear answer, but in embracing the ambiguity. An art you might find quite familiar after exploring these tales. In this quiet, it becomes clear that the oracle's gift isn't so much in solving riddles, but in appreciating the dance between the question and the answer, akin to a melody where every note brings a new dimension to its harmony. The riddles, both yes and no, continue to echo softly in your thoughts. One day silence descended upon her like a shroud, enveloping the world in a quiet tension. You find yourself walking through this landscape of muted whispers, where her voice once flowed like a river, soothing and strong. But today it is as if the world is holding its breath, waiting for something that might never come. You know her words could command armies and calm storms, so her silence is more profound than any shout. As you walk past fields of olive trees glistening in the sun, you feel the stillness pressing in, creating a space heavy with unspoken power. They say her silence made even the kings tremble. The world paused, caught in a collective moment of uncertainty. Can you imagine the likes of kings and emperors, those who consider themselves masters of destiny, left in suspense, wondering what would happen next? This quiet dominion she holds is not just over people, but also over gods. Mighty Apollo himself would turn his chariot away. The ancient world was lit by stories like glimmering stars in a vast sky, and she was a beacon, a guiding compass. Her name was synonymous with wisdom, her words as precious as gold. Those who could change the world with a thought found their way to her doorstep, waiting for her to speak. And now, in her silence, you sense an undercurrent of introspection, spreading like ripples on a pond, touching everyone, even those basked in privilege and power, like King Croesus. You recall hearing tales of this king, a man so wealthy he could not fathom defeat. And yet he turned to her seeking insight. As you move through the narrative, you remember hearing that she wasn't just sought out for prophecies or fortunes. She was more than a figure cloaked in mystery. Her silence was an undeniable force, echoing the kind of awestruck reverence that the Greeks might show towards their deities. But even gods, Apollo included, had their grievances against the heaviness of human affairs, withdrawing their gaze in subtle acts of celestial defiance. Historians still debate whether her decision to stop speaking was by her own design or a consequence of the chaotic world around her, a world where battles raged and empires were built upon the backs of conquered lands. Her silence might have echoed past Egypt's pyramids, across the stretch of deserts where Alexander the Great once dreamt his ambitious dreams. Her choice resonated far and wide, seeping into the cracks of history itself, becoming part of a larger narrative yet to be fully understood. You find yourself marveling at how a single choice, a decision to say nothing at all, could wield such profound influence. It's curious, isn't it, that in her silence there lies a power that words cannot convey. It's a reminder of the timeless power of restraint, a lesson easily forgotten in a world that celebrates noise and declarations. There's a story of a day, perhaps apocryphal, where the city plazas were filled with anxious murmurs. Nobles who projected confidence like a well-tailored cloak were unsettled by the ambiguity her silence fostered. They often wondered, as you might, what thoughts occupied her mind. What visions and secrets lay locked behind her quiet gaze? And yet, even in this void of expression, her presence was more immense than ever. You have to chuckle a bit at the thought that sometimes not saying anything can be the loudest statement of all, like logging into your favorite social media app only to scroll through and let your scene status do the talking. A slight nod to the complexity of communication across the ages, even if separated by millennia. Perhaps it's fitting that in stories of old, when the gods looked away, when their favor dimmed like a receding star, people turned inwards, seeking strength among themselves. Like Apollo, who also needed a watchful eye upon the horizon, even divine beings face moments of silent reflection before returning to their chariots of light. Similarly, in response to her quietude, perhaps everyone, whether wearing crowns of laurel or straw, was compelled to find their own voice. Through your journey among these winding tales and whispered myths within this land steeped in time, perhaps you find shades of these timeless echoes within your world too. The understanding that sometimes silence presents an opportunity for self-discovery and profound reflection, a foundation upon which new stories might be built. Her silence, while perplexing, also allowed for a reinvigoration of human agency. Could it be that her reticent act was an invitation challenging others to find the courage within themselves to speak truths and craft their own destinies like the artisans who decorated Greek amphoras with stories of valor? Whether she chose silence as a protest or a passage into deeper understanding, the lack of her voice illuminated the power and potential resting within. The whispers grew softer, aligning with the moonlit calm that now enveloped the land, allowing the night's peaceful embrace to guide your thoughts into dreams. Perhaps tomorrow the world might hear her voice again. Perhaps it might even be your own. And so, lulled by the gentle undulations of history's echoes, you close your eyes, joining countless others who found solace under the same canopy of stars, dreaming together of the stories yet to unfold. In the subterranean hush, you find yourself in a small, smoky alcove, known to few as the Adyton. This secretive haven, nestled beneath layers of rock and mystery, has witnessed the whispered counsel of many a seeker before you. The air cloaks you like a warm, comfortable blanket, its embrace a contrast to the stone's cool solidity beneath your feet. The light here is dim, filtering in from unseen sources, casting gentle shadows that seem to dance with the flickers of an eternal flame. You sense the whisper of history's stories, carried on the breath of the smoke that curls lazily, almost as if alive in its own right. You take a seat, feeling the slight give of the rock beneath you. For a moment, you're reminded of the ever-changing nature of the earth, its surface apparently solid, but ever so subtly alive, marked being time and tension. It's said that just as the Delphic priestesses sat to commune with gods, you too are seated upon cracks that could tell tales of shifting plates and ancient oaths. Did you know the Greeks believed that deep beneath Delphi, a chasm exhaled sweet-smelling vapors that could inspire prophecy? This tale weaves a tapestry that envelops you now, a light skepticism nesting alongside curiosity. After all, historians still debate whether these vapors were more imagination than inspiration. A warmth envelops you, the kind that beckons contemplation, or at the very least gratitude for not being tempted by the fate of Icarus. As you settle further into the comforting dark, you consider the power of such places where past and present intermingle, where the known world willingly dips into shadows for answers. You can almost hear the murmurs of a time long gone, the echoes of an oracle who would speak in riddles, a chorus of uncertainty made tangible. There is a whispering around you not unlike the gentle patter of rain against a window. It's easy to see why those who came before would return with a heart full of questions and a head spinning with interpretations. This was not a place you stumbled upon lightly. Oh no. In fact, if you confer with the tales, you'd find that this tucked-away retreat housed stories as real as the breath upon your lips, and as intangible as the era these stones have withstood. Few ventured here, fewer still comprehended its secrets. The light kindled long ago still nourishes this space with its tentative glow, not exactly a beacon of electric comfort, but almost certainly enough to reveal the outlines of thoughts yet unwritten. Remember, there was once a famed Greek philosopher who suggested that reality was mere perception, shadows on walls. Perhaps in a way, this aditon is its own little homage to that theory. Shadows and light playing tricks on the eye, reminding you that sometimes the most profound understandings are found not in fluorescent brightness, but within the recesses of quiet contemplation. You shift slightly, feeling the rock beneath respond with an imperceptible groan. There's something profound in this exchange, a symphony of man and nature rarely conducted with such harmony. You return to that thought you had earlier. Was it fate or folly that brought you here? The kind of existential ponderings that might just keep you up at night. Yet here, where the air is warm and the light dim, they feel like lullabies sung in an ancient tongue. Perhaps you remember a time when your steps faltered, not with hesitation, but with the innocent dance of discovery. Such is the spirit of this space, a reminder that the journey toward answers often meanders as fluidly as these whirls of smoke. Here in this place, where few have tread and fewer still lingered, you feel a kind of solace, a bridge connecting you not just to the earth, but to the fabric of history itself. Underneath the cracked and weathered stone tales of timeless intrigue whisper on a continuity unbroken by the passage of innumerable suns and moons. Through it all, you remain settled in this moment, an explorer among shadows, a pilgrim in the underground realm of reflection. And as this gentle narrative unfurls, you'll find that perhaps the most potent revelations are those plucked from the quietest corners of your own ever-curious mind. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, why not drop your location and local time in the comments below? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In the heart of Athens, you're standing amidst a crowd, their nerves strung tight like the echoes of Apollo's bow. A shiver of anticipation runs through you as you strain to hear the pronouncement of the oracle at Delphi. It's not a grand speech nor a detailed plan. It's merely a mumble, a whisper one might dismiss in any other time. Trust in the wooden walls, the voice said, cryptic and unyielding as the ruins you'll one day wonder at. There in the crowd stands Themistocles, a man less in stature than reputation, one whose cleverness cuts sharper than any sword. He's listening with a kind of acute concentration you rarely see, as though these words were a puzzle only his mind could unravel. His expression shifts swiftly, an epiphany blooming where mere curiosity had been moments before. You sense this is the kind of moment that alters destinies. You're following Themistocles now through the bustling streets of Athens, where philosophical debates are as common as the clamor of merchants. His heart is resolute, driven by a singular interpretation of the oracle's words. Wooden walls. What could such walls be? Historians still debate whether Themistocles immediately knew the answer. You come to your own conclusions, wandering through the layers of history like a ship through fog. Athenian democracy is both a majestic and fragile project. Each citizen's voice part of a larger chorus, so it's here within the pulse of democracy where Themistocles seeks to implement his vision. Wooden walls, ships of war, triremes fast and fierce, embodying his belief in Athens's maritime strength. It's a bit of a gamble, really, like a high-stakes game of ancient poker where each card drawn could determine the future of civilization. The dockyards become your focus, now filled with the scent of fresh-cut timber and the rhythmic echo of hammers, a symphony of construction spurred on by Themistocles' audacious vision. Yet building ships is no casual affair. It's a commitment of resources and trust. Then there's the moment of realization, the aha that sends a content shiver down your spine. Wooden walls were ships all along, ships to save a city. You can almost see the ghosts of long-sunk fleets rising to nod approvingly, their spectral sails catching winds of foresight. Of course, it's not all unguent and glory. Just as those pieces of timber must merge into something mighty, so too must the people of Athens rally as one. Themistocles must coax both patricians and peasants to see his wooden walls, though flighty as an oracle's cipher, hold the promise of salvation. A whisper in the wind cost Greece countless drachmas, but as the tide shifts to favor Athens, those doubters silenced in the realization that their shared endeavor, a city's survival, had found its vessel. You find yourself standing in the midst of an ancient grove, surrounded by towering oak trees whose leaves rustle gently in the night breeze. This is Dodona, a place of whispers, where each rustle of the leaves was once believed to carry the words of the gods. You stop for a moment, absorbing the mystical atmosphere. The ground beneath your feet feels alive, almost as if the earth itself is listening. Here, the oracles would interpret the murmurs of the leaves to convey divine messages to those seeking guidance. In Greece's archaic period, Dodona was one of the oldest and most esteemed oracles. Yet despite its power, its fame paled in comparison to what lay ahead in your journey. In stark contrast down south, tucked into the timeless deserts of Egypt, lay the Oracle of Siwa, bathed in profound silence. This oasis seemed to float like a mirage, as silence wrapped itself around you like a comforting cloak. Here, instead of voices carried by wind, visions and dreams came through quiet meditations. Even Alexander the Great sought the Oracle of Siwa, pondering over his divine parentage in the stillness. But despite its serenity, even Siwa couldn't eclipse the chatter of another oracle, one whose fame reigned supreme over the ancient world. As you continue through this eternal nighttime warps and shifts, and you find yourself approaching Delphi, nestled along the slopes of Mount Parnassus, a cooling breeze meets you and a heady aroma of laurel drifts in the air. You walk past grand columns and the sanctuary dedicated to Apollo, where pilgrims and leaders travel to hear prophecies. Unlike Dodona or Siwa, Delphi buzzed with activity. The infamy of the Delphic oracle lay not just in its cryptic prophecies, but in its power to sway empires and shape destinies. Here the Pythia, the priestess who served as the mouthpiece of Apollo, sat high on a tripod, above a chasm that breathed forth ethereal vapors. Her words were revered and often feared by all those who dared seek them. In this sacred space, you feel a magnetic pull toward the omphalos, the navel stone of the world. It marks the center where Zeus once released two eagles who flew opposite directions around the earth, meeting here to signify the heart of the universe. Historians still debate whether this tale was rooted in ancient mythology or crafted as a metaphorical concept, but as you stand there, you're strangely convinced by its magic. The journey to Delphi wasn't a trivial quest. Leaders from powerful city-states came bearing lavish gifts to curry favor with the gods and secure the Pythia's prophecies. King Croesus of Lydia, in particular, sent bountiful treasures seeking advice on waging war against Persia. The outcome, perhaps predictably, was not what he had hoped. The Pythia's enigmatic response, "A great empire will fall," proved true, though not in his favor. Yet it's the unusual, almost playful nature of Delphi that seizes your imagination. Here was not just an oracle, but an institution steeped in political influence. In addition to prophecies, the site hosted the Pythian Games, a precursor to the Olympic Games celebrating music and athletics alike. And it was Delphi that kept the Greek world and wider Mediterranean bound together in mystic intrigue and cultural exchange. Though times have changed and empires have crumbled, the resonance of Delphi lingers. You can almost hear the murmurs of the past echoing through the centuries. It's said there might have been a geological fault beneath the temple that released gases inducing the Pythia's trance-like state. This theory adds a layer of scientific mystery to the spiritual veil already cast over the oracle. Despite the debates between historians and geologists, the allure of Delphi remains undeniable. Standing on this hallowed ground, feeling the whispers of prophecy in every rustle of leaves and waft of wind, you're reminded of the enduring power of belief and the unending quest for knowledge. You sense an ancient wisdom flowing through, a reminder that the mysteries of the past still hold a certain sway over our present, much like that gentle breeze which carries forward the legacy of these mighty oracles. The golden glow of the morning sun reflects off the marble pillars, casting long shadows that weave through the bustling Roman streets. You meander along these ancient pathways, the air alive with the scent of fresh bread and the earthy tang of herbs dangling from market stalls. The noise of conversation and merchants bartering fills your ears as you step into the vibrant life of Rome, a city that never seems to sleep. But beneath this lively exterior lies the heartbeat of a civilization striving for clarity and order amidst the chaos. In these streets, the whispers of the gods once guided decisions with priests, interpreting omens through carefully observed rituals. Chickens would peck at grain and soothsayers would mutter their cryptic wisdom. Yet as Rome expanded, stacking achievements, like the towering columns of its architecture, the city needed more than just murmured prophecy. Bureaucrats and emperors favored directives over the divine croaking of augurs. Orders that promise predictability in an unpredictable world were the longing of the day. Rome, now blossoming into an empire that stretched its influence across vast lands, required organized governance. It was no longer sufficient for priests to look skyward for answers. Decisions needed to be logical plans, written not in the stars, but on the parchments held in the capable hands of officials. This shift reflected a larger transformation. The rites of birds and the readings of entrails began to recede, replaced by the edicts of Senate debates and the proclamations of imperial voices, every word meticulously recorded for posterity. Roman society met its turning point. It was an era marked by infrastructure that would boggle the mind of ancient gods' aqueducts that carried water from distant mountains' roads, that unfurled like ribbons across the empire, allowing armies to march, and goods to travel with efficiency unknown to earlier generations. The Roman legions didn't just conquer lands. They spread the shadow of Rome's administrative prowess, seeking control that even the gods might envy. Amidst this panorama, you find yourself in the quiet corridors of a Roman villa. Here in the candlelit glow, Cicero, the famed orator and statesman, committed his thoughts to writing. In between crafting speeches that could sway Senate decisions and letters that captured the essence of human nature, Cicero pondered whether clarity of thought might bring peace to a city tormented by ambition. Historians still debate whether Cicero's belief in the wisdom of the Republic ever truly resonated beyond those who could afford to listen. But his words linger like a calm echo amidst the din of progress. In the shadow of such debates, surprises still surfaced. Rome's innovation wasn't limited to mere bricks and governance. Imagine the shock of those who watched as the aqueducts, these marvels of engineering, came into being. Clean water trickled into every corner of the city, a practical miracle for such sustainability was a privilege only the gods might offer. And so, as this water flowed, so too did ideas ceaseless ever evolving. Among the architects of Roman intellectual life were the philosophers, thinkers, whose musings sometimes seemed to leap out of the structured order and into the realms of imagination. Their dialogue hinted at the new and unthinkable couching the moral instructions of their age in measured tones, yet daring still to peek beyond the immediate horizon. In their reflections, they played with concepts of governance and law, planting seeds of thoughts that might one day become civilization's fundamental tenets, centuries onward. So as you wander the stone pathways that have borne the weight of marching legions and hurrying citizens alike, you find yourself swept into the odd dichotomy of Roman life. That constant tug of war between order and uncertainty, between ash and marble, where each decision laid a brick on the path of history. The great Augustus once famously boasted that he found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. Even in his legacy, historians often wonder, was this transformation complete or forever? An ongoing tapestry of human achievement and folly interwoven. As you pause beneath an arch, feeling its mighty curve shielding you from the midday sun, you realize how much of this city's soul is set within things you cannot touch. The laws, written, the ideas, debated, the whispers that once rose from temples, now existing as audible memories amid the rumble of chariots. Rome's need for clarity and dominion shadows the elegance of those pillars' stone reminders that order can ascend even in a landscape where omens once ruled. And so it seems the quest for understanding for certainty became an empire's song sung across generations, even as the shades of its gods watched in conjecture and bemusement. As the sun sets beneath a painted sky, you find yourself at the foot of a sacred hill where the temple of Apollo at Delphi stands. The air is thick with history, the stones beneath your feet echoing with the footprints of pilgrims from centuries past. It is here that the mighty and the humble alike have sought the wisdom of the gods, conveyed through the enigmatic words of the Pythia, a role held by the temple's priestess. Imagine hearing the cryptic prophecy delivered from her lips, shrouded in incense and mystery. But tonight everything hangs in the balance. The once clamorous temple seems hushed with anticipation. Emperor Theodosius, a stern ruler enveloped in Christian zeal, has decreed the end of pagan practices. Historians still debate whether his motives were purely spiritual or more politically inclined, seeking to unify his empire under a single belief system. Nevertheless, the effect was profound and irreversible. The sacred fires burn low as you walk among the silent stones, feeling the pulse of ancient power growing faint. The Pythia prepares for what might be her final communion with the divine. Encircled by the priestesses of the temple, she steps forward, her presence a reminder of ages when oracles spoke truths wrapped in riddles. Her voice, once vibrant and commanding, is now a soft whisper against the night. It's said that the Pythia would enter a trance induced perhaps by ethylene gases rising from the ground beneath the temple, a theory historians still explore with caution. The science intrigues you, a curious mingling of geology and spirituality, merging at the crossroads of an ancient world. Tonight, the last oracle whispers her final words, each syllable carrying the weight of centuries. The pathos of this undeniable end sends a shiver down your spine. What secret did she utter in those last breathless moments? No one can say for sure, but legends tell of ominous warnings and cryptic guidance. The air cools with the closing of history's chapter, the Temple of Apollo entering a new silence, its sacred role suspended by the sweep of Theodosius's decree. The Pythia, the intermediary between man and deity, will speak no more. The questions, once posed to the gods, dissolve into the night air, their answers lost. You pause amidst the profound stillness, aware of the transformations beyond Delphi's borders. The empire shifts as Christianity begins to weave its narrative with greater prominence. Temples dedicated to long-revered gods slowly crumble, repurposed or abandoned to the hands of time. Your thoughts drift to how life must have felt for the people living in these transformational times. Did they mourn the loss of their ancient beliefs, or sense the inevitability of change in the wind, just like the goat fat trick you heard about earlier, where old remedies slowly give way to new understanding? People adapt, but not always without a touch of sorrow for what was. The stars twinkle above as if offering their own silent counsel, illuminating a path through uncertainty. In this space, nestled in the gentle throes of history's flow, you find yourself soothed by the enduring song of humanity's journey through faith power and the quest for peace. While all around life moves forward, you stand there aware that the world never truly stops. The echoes of these changes ripple outwards, influencing the course of cultures and civilizations yet to rise. Can you hear it? The soft hum that resonates through the tapestry of time, inviting you to continue this endless path of exploration and understanding. With a lingering glance back at the ancient stones of Delphi, their stories threaded into your memory, you turn to leave this vignetted world behind. The past forever, a part of you sets the stage for new tales to be told, new journeys to be embarked upon. Your steps carry you back into the embrace of night, the story gradually slipping into the gentleness of dreams, a lullaby of history that offers comfort amidst the unknown. As you drift cradled in the soft wrap of peaceful darkness, the world quiets further, the day's transformations becoming a gentle cadence to carry you into rest. The night deepens, and with it, a profound sense of calm settles within. The stories of the past, like soothing whispers upon your ear, continue their rhythmic dance around you. As you settle in more deeply, let any remaining tension unfurl and release, and trust in the serenity of the night. With each breath, you slip more softly into rest, the gentle hum of existence guiding you. Know that within this embrace you are held by the same eternal forces that cradled the ancients, unchanged by time. And so, with a heart as peaceful as the cooling earth beneath you, close your eyes, finding comfort in the embrace of sleep, a slumber as deep and enduring as the tales of old. And as the early signs of dawn hint faintly on the horizon, you are at rest, carried on the tides of time into a new dream, safe and warm. Delphi is quiet now, No laurel, no voice, just wind across marble and bees over time. But if you listen long enough, there's a whisper of something ancient, a tale that swirls like the dust around your feet. You find yourself standing at the edge of the Temple of Apollo, where thick clouds of time seem to gather and part, revealing glimpses of glory long past. The stones beneath your feet are smooth, worn by the passage of countless worshippers and the shadowy remnants of myriad rituals. The temple was once the bustling heart of a sacred precinct, a nexus where gods spoke to mortals through the Pythia, the oracle who sat in a tripod over a chasm, inhaling vapors and murmuring cryptic revelations. Historians still debate whether the Pythia's trance was a result of ethylene gases seeping from the earth, a fact which might seem oddly scientific amidst the myths and mysteries. Whatever the cause, her prophecies were revered and feared alike, for they directed the fate of cities and kings. As you wander, you imagine what it must have been like when Delphi pulsated with life. There would have been priests bustling about, pilgrims offering sacrifices, and the air thick with smoke and incense. Now, though, it's the ever-present hum of bees drifting lazily over wild time, busily minding their own business that fills the air. Despite the silence, you can almost hear the voices of the past. Imagine the merchants in the agora exchanging news of distant lands, each tale jumping from mouth to mouth, growing taller with each telling. And as for Delphi, did you know it was believed to be the navel of the world? They even had a stone monument, the omphalos, to prove it. Yet here you are standing amidst these silent stones, amidst the winds that once carried the voices of gods. You marvel at how these stones could stand so silent and yet so loud with history. Again, you catch faint whispers of a conversation held perhaps thousands of years ago, a decision that changed the course of history, or a prophecy that warned of doom and despair. Though to you, it's all a soft symphony, lulling and whispering under the stars. But the night grows on, and these ancient stories begin to weave themselves into your thoughts steadily, softly. As you imagine the oracle of Delphi, enigmatic and shrouded in smoke, consider the days when leaders would traverse great distances across treacherous terrain just to kneel before her, hoping for words that might tilt favor their way or not. The oracle didn't just share predictions. She shared riddles left to those in query to puzzle over. Your journey through the wonders of Delphi slowly unwinds the calm over the once sacred place, a soothing balm. Where piety once echoed is now the domain of the elements, untouched by human hands for years, save for the occasional curious visitor like yourself. And here is where you lean into the wind, letting it guide your steps down the sacred path, known as the Sacred Way. Lined with the once vibrant treasures of war and sculpture, time now crumbles them gently in its grip. It's peculiar how the remnants of extravagant treasuries are now homes for small creatures, how insects have claimed these spaces as their own, busy with different agendas altogether. Before you lies the theater, half-mooned and carved into the hillside, its seats still worn, where spectators sat to witness the great festivals of musical competitions. The stones echo melodies long absorbed into the earth. Even now, under the silver of the stars, it's easy to imagine the strumming of a lyre or a chorus lifting a paean for Apollo to the heavens. You pause here amidst the echoes of past applauses, the ghosts of actors who trod the stage larger than life in this amphitheater. There's an incomprehensible connection, a thread from the ancients to you woven in the very air you breathe here. Perhaps it's the unseen whispers of a drama, yet untold, waiting for a starry night like this. Your skin tingles in the breeze that picks up. It sweeps across Delphi, as it has for millennia, carrying the taste of time, the faintest tang of historical dust that stirs your imagination. You sense not resentment or malice from these stones, but a kind of peacefulness, an acceptance of the silence and its current quietude. Even as your eyes flutter and your mind begins to drift into the gentle pull of sleep, you realize that Delphi, with all its guiding whispers and prophetic murmurings, has not truly gone silent. The temple may lie in ruins. The voices of the past may have quieted to a murmur. But the story of Delphi, its purpose, its mystery, drifts forever on the night air. And so you inch closer to rest your place under this ancient sky assured, sharing space with history's tethered tendrils. You nestle into the comfort of these visions, letting the gentle rhythm of Delphi's night cradle you. You feel your eyelids grow heavy, trusting the winding cadence of this sacred place to carry you into the realm of dreams. The bees busy as they continue their unseen tasks, the breeze with its occasional rustling. Everything here reassures you, holding you in a timeless embrace. You see now visibly clearer how time quietly and gently overlays its quilt across the ages, and how all stories, much like this one, fold seamlessly under its continuous span. And thus the world of Delphi fades quietly into a soft lullaby as you surrender to the quiet, to the ancient whispers, night swaths around you, and to the tranquility you did not know you sought, but now have found. Tonight the tripod is warm. The air smells faintly sweet. Somewhere between dream and breath, the oracle mumbles one last time just for you. The sound of your own breathing is steady and rhythmic against the backdrop of night. The oracle whispers tales of an ancient civilization that thrived under a silver moon somewhere amidst the emerald waters of the Mediterranean. You find yourself standing on a pebbled shore as a gentle breeze carries the scent of orange blossoms and olive branches. It's a land where the stars appear different than you remember, forming constellations unnamed and stories untold. Your feet press against the cool, damp earth, grounding you in time and place. Above the sky is a sprawling tapestry of celestial wonders, each star a pinprick of light that guides you deeper into the past. You trace your fingers over the surface of an ancient stone, feeling its almost sacred warmth, as if it too remembers the hands and stories of old. The oracle's voice is soft, yet commanding, weaving threads of history into your thoughts. You listen as it tells of the Minoans, a sophisticated society that thrived on the island of Crete more than 3,000 years ago. Renowned for their intricate palaces and vibrant frescoes, the Minoans were a civilization of mystery and innovation. You can almost see the bustling marketplaces and hear the distant echoes of laughter and trade. There's a gentle reminder of how historians still debate whether the Minoans were destroyed by natural disasters or foreign invaders. It's a puzzle left by time, one you feel compelled to piece together as the oracle guides you through the frescoed halls of Knossos. Here life was painted in bold hues of red and blue, capturing moments of beauty and reverence, scenes of nature of deities, and of bull-leaping ceremonies where courage was measured not by war, but by grace and agility. You're captivated by the notion that these people long forgotten by the tides of history might yet have something to teach. The oracle, whose knowledge is as vast as the sea, pauses to let you ponder their wisdom. The tripod beneath you hums with a gentle warmth, as if connectively recalling those distant days. Somewhere just out of vision, a bronze statue glistens in the moonlight, an eerie reminder of the past's tangible presence. This warmth, this connection catches you by surprise. It must have something to do with the intricate designs of Minoan jewelry made of gold and faience, delicately crafted with intentions you cannot quite decipher. Historians are unsure if these pieces held religious significance or were simply expressions of beauty and wealth. You smile, imagining past wearers of these ornaments, each one a whisper from the ages. The oracle's murmurs draw you back. A Minoan sailor speaks of his voyages, guided by the stars and the gentle pulse of the sea. You catch glimpses of his world islands dotting the horizon like stepping stones across the water. Your heart dances with the thrill of adventure, that split-second flutter before setting sail into the unknown. But the oracle lets you linger only briefly in these places of wonder and keeps you close to the heart of Crete. You are reminded of the dramatic eruptions of Thera, an event historians argue might have critically diminished Minoan power. The island vibrates with unease, yet there is beauty even in its destruction. You remember tales of Atlantis, the lost city, and wonder how many truths are cemented within myth's embrace. You pause again, taking in the sweet fragrance of the air around the warm tripod as your mind unfolds to accept these timeless stories. Somewhere close, a simple melody plays a song passed down through generations. It is both familiar and foreign, a dance between time and silence. Just like the goat fat trick you heard about earlier, used by sailors to appease stormy seas, there's a comfort in these small rituals that connect humanity across epochs. A flicker of light from a distant torch catches your eye, mesmerizing in its simplicity. The oracle invites you to delve beneath the architecture, to explore the theories surrounding the subterranean labyrinths of Crete. Did they hold mythical beasts, or were they routes of sacred pilgrimage? Uncertainty fills you, thrilling yet gentle. As your gaze turns to the night sky, you allow yourself a moment of respite. You trace the paths of constellations, losing yourself in galaxies' embrace. The oracle's warmth cradles you, the stories a blanket of stars around your weary soul. The hum of the fan blends seamlessly with the night's soft chorus, a comfort as you settle deeper into the warmth of the night. As the air fills with a gentle serenity, you let go of today's worries, trusting in the night and the weave of ancient stories around you. The oracle's last whispers are but a dreamlike murmur, a soft lullaby guiding you gently to rest. You feel the tension in your body slowly ebb away, the beauty of the night easing into your core. Stars above twinkle with reassuring familiarity, silent companions as you drift towards sleep. Like a lullaby cradled by a gentle sea, your mind unfurls against the warmth of the earth. Easing further into the calm, your breath becomes one with the universe's quiet rhythm. You realize how deeply connected we are to our past, to our shared stories, and to the tapestry of history that binds us all together. The fragrance of night blossoms fills your senses, anchoring you gently as you float into the comforting darkness. And as the stars watch over you, know that the oracle of time holds you safely. It's okay to relax your grip and let sleep claim you to dream of ancient seas and endless horizons until the dawn calls you once again. In this space of peaceful surrender, let the night carry you through realms of stories, yet untold, soothing your spirit with whispers of intrigue and peace. You are cradled within the cusp of time where all is still and nothing more is asked of you. Drift gently now into soft, endless dreams.